Alright, we're back with the next video in the How It's Actually Done raid series, where I show you how the average team runs each raid nowadays, and today we've obviously got King's Fall on the menu. So if you're a returning player, maybe you've run King's Fall in the past, but you don't really know what weapons to bring nowadays, what the newest strats are, don't worry, I've got you covered. And this guide does kind of assume that you know King's Fall, but I will be covering some very basic mechanics in this raid. So if you don't know anything about King's Fall, just start with the video guide I have here so you can learn about the in-depth mechanics and come back to this video once you're finished with that. And don't judge me, it was like my third video ever. It's not the best, but it does show you what to do. And just as a PSA, so I don't have to repeat myself for every boss encounter, please make sure to equip 3 Surge mods and rally with 3 Reserve mods that match the damage type of your main DPS weapon. Surge mods will give you a 22% damage boost when you're armor charged, and the Reserve mods will obviously get you more ammo, which means more overall damage as well. So with the intro out of the way, let's get this started. For the opening section, absolutely nothing has changed since the mechanic is just so basic and simple. You can either be a runner or you can be a taken wall remover / ad clear. Just make sure your team is split evenly so all the taken doors are cleared out. You don't want any runners waiting for the doors to be cleared. But yeah, once you've deposited all 6 orbs, that's it. You've opened the portal, you can progress through the raid. But if anyone on your team is missing any of the patterns for crafting these weapons, I'd highly suggest you take the extra 2 minutes that it takes across the entire raid to get a free red border weapon. All you have to do is walk underneath the portal that you're supposed to go through and check these 3 symbols. There are 9 possible symbols that can appear here. Each symbol is tied to a unique spot in the raid. Don't worry, I'm going to show you all of them as we go through the raid, and I'll have them timestamped to make them easy to skip to if needed. Or if you just prefer to see them all in a row, I'll include them at the very end of the video as well. What most people will do is number the symbols from 1 through 9, with 1 being the earliest symbol found throughout the raid, and 9 being the very last symbol. And we'll just type it in the chat in case we forget. In our specific raid, we had symbols 2, 6, and 7. Your symbols will probably be different, like 99% chance will be different. But as you go through the raid, shoot the correct symbols, and once you shoot the 3rd correct symbol, you will see the text, "The runes accept your offering." That lets you know that you have done it successfully, and you can claim your free red border once you take down Oryx. Okay, so moving on, make sure to grab this chest right after you exit the portal. I've skipped this on accident so many times for some reason, just get your loot. But once you progress forward just a little bit, you will actually see symbol number 1 as you reach the swinging bells area. Just jump on the first bell, turn around, and there it is. So if symbol number 1 is one that you need, just shoot it to activate it. Next up, we've got the jumping puzzle section, everyone's favorite, along with the first secret chest found in this raid that every raid team will always get. If you're a bit rusty on this floating ship jumping section, don't worry, I've got you. I will show this sped up a little bit. You've got this. And once you complete that section, you will get to the next area with a plate on the left and the right side. Having 2 guardians hold each plate will open both the force field and the secret pathway that we'll need to use for the secret chest. As you can see here, I'm kind of showing you the pathway that you'll take, and here's me jumping on the ship to jump to that pathway. Just walk carefully here, walk slow because the spikes can knock you off the edge. And once you head through the door, the secret chest will be waiting for you, as well as symbol number 2. So if you need that symbol, go ahead and shoot it for the red border puzzle. So once you've reached the other side, it's you and 1 other guardian's job to hold the other plates to open the doors for the people that have not crossed yet. So once everyone has their secret chest, once everyone's crossed, it is time for the Totems encounter. This is going to be a very short explanation because really no strategies have changed at all in this encounter. I'll just show a loop of what I'm doing here so you can get a quick refresher on it if you need. I'll be starting off with the orb on left side here and make sure that someone on right side also grabs their orb to guard their totem. So I just grab it, run to the totem, pull out Thunderlord to get kills and earn Deathsinger stacks, and wait for my teammate to relieve me. Once my teammate heads over, I can then take my earned Deathsinger stacks to the middle plate, deposit them fully down to 0, make sure of that, kill the wizard on my side's ledge, which will spawn in the taken knight, kill that knight to pick up the brand orb, and now I can go relieve my teammate that's guarding the totem. It's just a constant loop of that the entire time. Just make sure to bring an unstoppable weapon though, because there will be 3 of those unstop ogres. Once you're done here, you can grab your chest, and if you need symbol 3, don't start the Warpriest encounter yet, as you will not be able to return to this area if you start the encounter. Symbol number 3 is on the left side of the room on the 2nd floor, right here. And if you need symbol number 4, we can actually get it before or after the Warpriest, it doesn't matter. Just go up the stairs and it will be on the top floor of the Warpriest room. Just follow this path. Alright, so now we've got the Warpriest. Things have changed just a little bit here, but only for what weapons we'll use. Linear fusion rifles got nerfed pretty hard when Lightfall came out. They're not completely useless for every encounter, but rockets have kind of overtaken the DPS meta for the most part. Some people do like using linear fusion rifles here still with Divinity because it can be a little bit easier to land linear shots than rockets, but my team still definitely prefers rockets. Going over team composition, the obvious answer is to have a couple of Well of Radiance Warlocks if possible. The damage phase is very long, so you might need a couple wells if you want to max out your damage. And the window between damage phases is actually very quick, often not enough time to get your super back, so the more wells, the merrier. Hunters, you can go with Tether or any high DPS supers. Star Eater scales with Gathering Storm, Shards of Galanor, Blade Barrage, Celestial Nighthawk, Golden Gun, if you can land the crit of course. Lots of options for Hunters. Titans, we really don't get any good DPS super options here because you actually have to stand within the red aura to do damage. So I just recommend sticking with your weapons if you're a Titan. As for your weapons, we want at least one Galahorn and everyone else on their best legendary rocket, which G-Horn will buff tremendously. My recommendation for legendary rockets is the Apex Predator from the Last Wish raid. It's the best rocket launcher in the game, and you should have it with either Reconstruction Bipod or Reconstruction and Bait and Switch, whichever you prefer. If you don't have Apex Predator with those traits, don't worry, you're not going to get kicked out of any raids, and if you do get kicked, then those people are idiots. Just use whatever your best rocket launcher is and you'll be just fine. And if you run out of ammo or if Reconstruction is refilling your rockets, swap to one of the many awesome fusion rifles that we have in the game right now. I'm using Eremite here because it's solar with Envious Assassin and Controlled Burst. It's awesome. Nothing has changed with the plate system, just have 3 teams of 2, with each team having 1 plate reader. The most easy and efficient way to take out the taken knights that appear are to have the plate readers do it. That's what my team always does. This eliminates confusion and works very well. So if I'm holding middle plate and I was not the last in the plate order callouts, I would be responsible for taking care of that middle knight. This is because knights only spawn on plates that were not the last plate called. Whether you choose to get a bit of damage in before going back to kill your knight or not is completely up to you, but timing can be tight, so be aware of that. If you're not super confident that you can do some damage, then go kill your knight, then go back to damage, just wait by your plate for your knight to spawn in. You'll miss out on a little bit of damage, but that's okay. Alright, so let's go over damage now. What people do now is they line up on the right side of the Warpriest area and nuke him with rockets. This is the best way. We were kind of laughing as we were doing this, not really going for any crazy DPS strats. We missed shots. We didn't even have a tether debuff, and we still did tons of damage. This is a very doable 1 phase, but most people will probably take 2 to 3 phases. And I did want to show linear fusion rifles with Divinity, just in case you're on a team that wants to do that. Most teams will do damage from this front right area near the right totem for the first 2 phases, and then go to the left totem for the 3rd phase. Once you've cleared the Warpriest, we'll go through Golgoroth Cellar to get the 2nd secret chest. I'll put a map here and I'll make sure to credit the person in the video. It's what my whole Discord uses because this map is just really easy to understand. It's a lot easier to show it than explain it. Just make sure you jump on each plate in order from 1 to 5, and that will open up the door in the middle area to get your secret chest. Once you've got your secret chest, progress toward the next area, but don't go to the next room yet. If you need symbol number 5, make sure to turn around from where you're supposed to go, look down this hole, and you will find the 5th symbol. Okay, time for Golgoroth. Another fight that really hasn't changed all too much in terms of strategy, if at all, really. I feel like we've been running this the same way since it came out. For team composition, high damage supers are always welcome, but he does have a weird hitbox, so it can be easy to miss your supers. Wells of Radiance are nice, but you'll be moving a bit, so you can only get a few seconds out of each well. Debuffs are really what we want here on Golgoroth, so tethers and tractor cannon shots do wonders. Of course, after we finish this run and got all the footage, we realized we didn't have a tether or a tractor cannon, so we did have to settle for a 2-phase, unfortunately. But a quick recap of the fight: just clear out both wizards at the back of the room and both knights in the middle of the room to get a bubble to spawn over Golgoroth. Have 2 people that are responsible for taking Golgoroth's gaze and 4 players that will be doing damage. If you are a player taking gaze, a linear fusion rifle will take it instantly in one shot. Once you take his gaze, Golgoroth will rotate to wherever you are, so you want to face him toward the players doing damage since his crit spot is on his stomach, so you obviously want your team to be able to shoot Golgoroth. Then you'll want to use an auto rifle to take down all the Axion darts that he'll fire at you, and make sure to count down your timer so the other person taking gaze knows when to take it. And that's it for anyone doing Golgoroth's gaze. Just rotate back and forth doing the same thing a total of 6 times. If you're on damage duty, just shoot the bubble that's above Golgoroth. Try to time it for when the first person takes Golgoroth's gaze. If you're a few seconds off, that's fine. But once the bubble drops that light pool, step in the pool to get a damage buff. I know I said linear fusion rifles got nerfed, but they are, in my opinion, the easiest and best option here because of how his crit spot works. A linear fusion rifle paired with a good regular fusion rifle will do wonders for you, and the regular fusion rifle can do really good at taking down those bubbles. Just keep in mind, when doing damage, one player each pool will get the debuff that will turn their screen green, so whoever that is can run up to Golgoroth and detonate next to him, dealing a little bit of damage. Once that first pool of light goes away, shoot the next bubble above Golgoroth and do the same exact thing for a total of 6 times. After that, if you don't get the 1 phase, you can rinse and repeat. And I know I did mention that people should be using tractor cannon. I would highly suggest this be both people taking Golgoroth's gaze. As they pass by him, once they take the gaze, they can just pop him with a quick tractor cannon to do a 30% weaken debuff. It's really going to help out your team. Once you've killed Golgoroth, if you need symbol number 6, it's going to be right here in Golgoroth's room in this small cave area. We can then press on to the next jumping puzzle. Most teams will be taking the path that leads you to the secret chest, and it's actually quicker to do it, so why not grab it? Just hop to this section, pull out your ghost to show the floating hidden pathways. The end of this hallway will contain the 3rd secret chest, and right next to it is symbol number 7. So if you need symbol 7, shoot it. You can then take even more secret floating pathways to help you cross over to the other side. And if you need symbol number 8, it's going to be right here above the doorway at the end of this room. Progress forward a little bit, and once you reach the final room, you can actually turn around to see symbol number 9, which will be right above the door. So that's all the symbols in order. I will be showing them again at the end of the video if you just want to have one quick spot where you can go through them all. And if you were successful in shooting the correct 3, you'll see the text, "The runes accept your offering." If you missed one, or maybe you shot the wrong one, you are unfortunately out of luck and you've got to start all over. So we're at the Daughters encounter now, where, again, surprise, nothing much has changed in terms of strategy. Rockets are still the #1 play here for damage, so bring at least 1 Well of Radiance and any other high damage dealing supers you can, and you'll be all set. This fight is a ton of fun as there is a lot of randomness to it, but there just aren't a lot of ways to adjust strategy. You'll just want to ensure that your communication is clear, your transitions to each plate are fast, and your damage on each daughter is high. Having a scout rifle or sniper to clear out the snipers that will try to kill you on those platforms, very helpful. As far as divvying up roles and positions, almost every team you get on will like to designate 1 person per plate and have 2 floaters, 1 in the front, 1 in the back, just in case someone needs their plate covered if they happen to get taken. And we all name the plates L1, L2, R1, R2. And as far as callouts go, we'll use terminology like start L1, finish L2, just so everyone knows what's happening. It's really helpful to immediately look back at your plate to see if it's glowing green, to let that person know, hey, starting at my plate, L2. For the damage phase, just keep in mind that if you kill one of the daughters, you've got to kill the other daughter in the next phase. Otherwise, it will be a wipe. As long as you're using Gjallarhorn and rockets, they are very easy to 1 phase though. There's no reason why you shouldn't get the 1 phase. This is of course assuming your team is quick enough during the jumping section. Alright, daughter's dead, time for Oryx. Let's finish this up. Thankfully, or not thankfully, depending on how you look at it, this is another fight that doesn't have very much optimization to it that's happened over the 1.5 years that it's been out. You can keep the exact same subclasses and supers you had during the Daughters encounter and you'll be just fine. The only change up nowadays is most people I run with have since switched from linear fusion rifles to Whisper of the Worm. Finally, it's useful again. Whisper did get a pretty giant buff So if it's been collecting dust in your vault, go ahead and grab it because it does great here and it's super easy to use, and who doesn't love using Whisper of the Worm? Same strategy as the last encounter here as far as the plates go, just have one player designated for each plate and 2 floaters to help cover if needed. If you are on a plate, make sure you take care of your ogre that will spawn right next to it and the knight that will come from across the room to try to eat your bomb. That's how my team does it, at least. I know some teams like to have you take out your own ogre and the other person's knight, but it really doesn't matter. In reality, you should always have your head on a swivel. You should be checking for all ogres and knights in your area just to make sure you can be as helpful as possible to your team. Once 3 rounds of the jumping stuff happens, the final jumper will slam the buff on the big knight, and everyone else can jump in their bombs once you see the text Oryx calls upon the darkness. Wait in your bomb until you see your name in the kill feed, then head back to the immunity aura to do damage. Again, Whisper is so easy to use here and it does a lot of damage. You'll have some thrall that might try to get in your way and block your shots after about 15 seconds of damage, but they aren't too bad. And this is almost always going to be a 2-phase for just about every team. So don't worry if you don't get the 1 phase. That is very difficult to do with 1 round of bombs. But once the damage phase is over, Oryx will either do the bomb thing or what we call the Thunderdome, where you have to kill the mini Oryx before being allowed to leave. Oryx does have a final stand, so make sure you've got enough ammo for it. If you notice your team is really light on ammo before getting them to final stand, it might be worth holding off on damage, collecting some more ammo, and going for 1 more phase. During final stand, there will be 2 ogres that spawn on the left and right side, so make sure that you step in the bombs, detonate them once you see that text Oryx calls upon the darkness, and as long as you have the ammo, you should be completely fine here. The final stand is pretty generous in the time that it gives you, and once Oryx is dead, you have finally beaten King's Fall. If you did the red border puzzle successfully, a chest will spawn here and automatically drop a red border weapon that you don't have already. For me, I already have everything here, so nothing dropped. But also, make sure to stop at the chest here to pick up another red border using your Spoils of Conquest. I hope this helped you all if you weren't quite sure what people are using nowadays for King's Fall in 2024. And if you're looking to run this raid, maybe you don't have a team, feel free to join the Discord using the link in the description. We'd love to have you join. Alright everyone, I will see you in the next How It's Actually Done raid video, probably going to be Crota's End, hopefully by the end of this week, maybe early next week, but I will also play out those 9 glyph symbols for you now, just in case you wanted to see them in order.